Blurry Kumar. Okay, how are we doing here? We've got Sheila's here. It's who is that? That's Jeff Long. Okay, right. Um, oh, he's right. He's excused because he has a family emergency. His grandmom's not doing well. Yeah, it's tough. Okay, I think we've got a full house. So, oh yeah, Linda? Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Linda, let me just reiterate a few rules for the new members of the committee. And it's all pretty simple. We want to move through work as quickly as we can, but it's been a tradition in our committee that if you see a bill on the voting list and you want to hold it, everybody has the ability to hold it for one voting session. So if you say, Mr. Chairman, I prefer for us to vote on this next time, we accept that. The only exception to that is when we start to get up against deadlines, I might overrule that, but generally speaking, we don't want to have people feel unnecessarily rushed. The other thing is when you see these voting lists the day before, and if you desire to have a bill pulled off the list, come to my office, and maybe I'll agree to do that or not, but definitely always come to my office. To pass a bill, we need 12 votes. 12, right? Yeah, it was 13 last year. And amendments are by simple majority. And oftentimes, we do those by voice votes, but if we don't, then we'll count noses. And usually, what is the DLS position this year with respect to pylon amendments? What are they saying? Okay, so what often happens is after we vote on a bill, a bunch of people may ask to be amended on as co-sponsors, and that's, in other words, they pile on to the bill. So that's a pylon amendment. So we'll be doing that. And okay, let's start. Oh, we get Do it on a favorable bill.
The pylons, if there's already.
Oh, yeah, okay. If there's no amendment, we're not going to accept pylon amendments. And the reason for that is for the new people, when it gets to the floor, all of the bills that are passed without amendments are on one calendar and they go zipping through. And so the Speaker's office prefers not adding pylon amendments. But if it's a bill that already has some amendments, it's going to be on the calendar with the bills with amendments. We can have a pylon amendment, and you're absolutely right. And then you'll notice at the very end of the voting list, there are all these bills that have a little W next to them. That means they're being withdrawn by the sponsor, and I will entertain an unfavorable motion withdrawn by sponsor for all of those bills unless, and whenever I have a motion to defeat a whole bunch of bills. If there's one bill you want to have a specific vote on, you can just separate it and we'll vote on everything else and then we'll go back to that bill. So again, we're not going to be rushing here. So if you're confused about anything, put your hand up. We'll answer your, oh, there we go, Linda Foley.
I might have missed this, Mr. Chair, but what does the E mean?
That's an emergency bill.
Oh, an emergency bill. Thank you.
Right, and that means it needs a supermajority and it goes into effect immediately. If it does not get a supermajority, but gets a majority, it'll still pass, but it'll go into effect not immediately. Right. Okay. House Bill 20. Who's Delegate Love?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 20 came out of the subcommittee favorable with amendments. As amended, HB 20 generally prohibits an adult who is present and directly supervising a minor from allowing the minor from allowing the minor to ride a horse in specified areas unless the minor is wearing, properly secured, a helmet that meets or exceeds the standards of the American Society of Testing and Materials for protective headgear used in equestrian riding. So the one amendment alters the application of the prohibition by applying it to, quote, "a facility for which the primary purpose is recreational, educational, or competitive equestrian activities." Thank you.
Move the amendment?
Move the amendment, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, we'll proceed.
What? Their
Oh,
question.
okay. Hold on. Delegate Terraza had hit her button first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think my question may be similar to Delegate Otto's. Like, what is the exception? And
Yep.
I guess my added question to that is what does that leave still covered?
Okay, so the bill, as it came in, says that you have to, this subsection, meaning you have to have a minor wear a helmet, only applies to a highway, number 2, a public horse riding path, or number 3, any other property open to the public or used by the public for pedestrian or vehicular traffic. And the sense was that number 3 was somewhat confusing and didn't really clearly state what we're trying to get at. So instead of the number 3, it would say, number 1 is a highway, which is any road. Number 2 is a public horse riding path. And the third one is a facility for which the primary purpose is recreational, educational, or competitive equestrian activities. So where the primary purpose is horseback riding, minors have to wear a helmet. So it's not the little birthday party, it's not the pony fair, at your local fair where they have a lead and they're just walking them around. That's the primary purpose of that facility. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but it raised a slightly different one. So a pathway, the primary purpose of the pathway is not, but the pathway would already be covered.
Right.
Okay.
There are
All
3
right.
separate things that
Okay, I
are
gotcha.
covered.
Thank you.
Yep.
Delegate Allen.
Thank you. The facilities that you described, the recreational, where does therapeutic riding fall in under that, if it does at all?
So if it's the primary purpose of that facility is recreational, educational, or competitive, then minors have to wear a helmet. If they also do therapeutic riding there, minors have to wear a helmet.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Otto.
That answers my question.
Okay. On the amendment, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second? Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, it is unanimous among those present, which means not Delegate Long, who has an excused absence. House Bill 20 passes. House Bill 30. Delegate Stein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This emergency bill makes several clarifying and technical changes to existing provisions of law relating to the regulation of on-site wastewater services. Subcommittee recommendation is favorable, no amendments.
Okay, no amendments. Is there a second? Any discussion on the bill which is not amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Jacobs, Otto, and Baker are opposed. And Naraki is opposed. Any other individuals opposed? Any abstention? Anybody want to abstain? Okay, the bill, what's the vote? It's 18-4, the bill passes. House Bill 71. Delegate Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 71 came out favorable. House Bill 71 expressly requires a school bus driver to pass an appropriate medical examination both before employment and once during each 2 years of employment thereafter. So basically, right now, the requirement is every 1 year. This makes it every 2 years, which is the federal rule.
Okay, no amendments. Is there a second? Any discussion or debate on the bill? All righty then, let's proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 92.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 92 has a favorable recommendation from the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. This bill establishes a ground lease or an amendment, let me back up, establishes that a ground lease or an amendment is not registered until the ground lease or amendment is posted on the online registry maintained by SDAT. And secondly, establishes a process for a leasehold tenant of a ground lease to challenge and bring action against the ground leaseholder who takes specified collection action after failing to properly register a ground lease. Move the bill, Mr. Chair.
Is there a
no
second?
amendments.
Second.
Any discussion or debate on House Bill 92? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 93.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 93 received a favorable recommendation from the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. There are no amendments, Mr. Chair. This bill repeals statutory provisions that prohibit leasehold tenant from providing specified documentation and payment of the State Department assessment taxation earlier than 90 days after an application of redemption or extinguishment has been posted on SDAT's website. And two, makes technical changes to the relevant law. The bill does not alter notice provisions related to ground rent redemption or extinguishment, nor does it alter obligations of the individual who seeks to redeem or extinguish a ground rent. Move the bill. There are no amendments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or debate on House Bill 93? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 101.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 101, it does have two amendments, and as amended, Mr. Chair, the bill establishes a specified procedure by which a governing body of a condominium may grant an easement, right-of-way, license, lease in excess of 1 year or similar interest affecting the common elements of the condominium for the installation and use of leased clean energy equipment. Amendment number 1, Mr. Chair, is technical. Amendment number 2 alters the definition of clean energy equipment and limits the types of interest that may be granted by a board of directors or council of unit owners to lease in excess of 1 year. Move the two amendments, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Any discussion or debate or questions about the amendments? Yes, Delegate Terrazza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on that, and Delegate Holmes, just on that, the last piece of that,
The definition?
yeah, the definition, does that still include EV charging? So we didn't get, that didn't get taken out.
Clean energy equipment means electrical vehicle recharging equipment, solar energy
Excellent.
equipment, and solar energy storage
Excellent,
systems.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion on the amendments? If not, we'll vote on the amendments. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no.
Move the bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. Is there a second on the bill as amended? Okay, any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, let me just ask one question. So I know that Bob Enton and the bankers had an objection to some provision. Did you?
We're all clear.
You're clear with Bob
We're all
Enton?
clear,
and the
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the bill as amended signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 102.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill received a favorable with amendments from the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. As amended, the bill establishes procedures to protect domesticated cats and dogs when property is repossessed or from failure to pay rent, breach of lease, tenant holding over, or wrongful detainer actions. The procedures are applicable to actions filed on or after November 1st, 2023. The two amendments, Mr. Chair, one amendment is technical, and the second amendment alters the information a landlord or judiciary must supply about the Department of Agriculture fact sheet if a landlord, if for a landlord, the landlord knows that a tenant possesses a pet, or for the judiciary, a warrant of restitution is issued for certain landlord-tenant actions or a wrongful detainer action. Move the two amendments, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Ruth has a question or debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, could you explain a little more about the Second Amendment? I didn't quite understand what the, I'm sorry.
Let's see, must provide okay, so they've got to provide a link to the fact sheet published by the Department of Agriculture's website,
It's magnetic.
okay? For example, to tell persons where to go
Okay.
if the pet, if there's going to be a repossession.
So that would be instead of giving them something physical with the information, or is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is
Second.
correct. That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And when, Mr. Chair, when is the appropriate time to ask for a pylon, now or after we vote?
After the bill's passed, if
Thank
it
you.
passes.
Thank you.
Delegate Terrazza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so I'm slightly confused about where's the link? Like where,
Department of Agriculture.
this is just how they get the form?
Say that again, please.
This isn't the notice to the tenant. This is just how they receive the form.
I'm not sure I understand your question. If a tenant has a pet, and hop in here, Matthew, if I'm not explaining this properly.
Let's let Matt.
Certainly. So the under the original bill is introduced, the landlord or the court in this case would have to provide a description of the fact sheet and the location where it could be found. So the standard's now just changed to providing a link to the fact sheet and where it's published on the Department of Agriculture's website. So that would be provided with the lease if it were the landlord handing it out, or with a warrant of restitution if it were the court. So this would theoretically become part of those documents.
So they would go to the link on Department of Ag for information about pets.
And how do they know to go to the Department of Ag?
In the lease, there's language in the lease. Hang on a second here. Let me give that to Matthew, just to make sure we're going right here.
So for the landlord, this would be, information would be provided if the landlord knows that the individual has a pet. So if it's declared, it could be in the form of a lease addendum, like a pet addendum to a lease, and then the link would be included in that document, just as a new provision in the document. The bill doesn't really specify the exact form that you would provide the lease. I'm just, thinking through how other notices are provided or information to other websites is provided. It would just get added to the document, the standard document that landlord or that the court would use for the warrant of restitution.
Okay, thanks.
Delegate Foley.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, you get a piece of paper that has a link on it. Then you have to put the piece of paper down and go to the internet, if you have internet, and access the notice?
No, that you would be accessing the fact sheet that the Department of Agriculture is required to produce under the provisions of this bill.
Okay.
The
and-
fact sheet gives you the information about what to do if you have a pet.
Okay.
That's what the fact sheet does. It provides
So
you
at the
information.
court, and putting the court in there confused me a little bit. So what's the court have to do with it?
The court has to provide this link, this information. So both the landlord and the court would have to provide similar information, just at different times. The court would have to provide this link with the warrant of restitution.
That's when you go to court.
I got it. Okay,
When you
thank
go to
you.
court. Prior
Okay,
to
thank
that,
you.
it's the landlord's responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the
Move the bill
amendment's
as amended, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Second. On the bill as amended, any discussion or debate? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. Who would like to pile on the bill? Okay, I'm going to do this slowly because there are people writing this down. Ryan, did you have your hand up? Yeah, Ryan, Delegate Naraki, Delegate Allen, Ruth, Terraza, Love, Healy, Boyce, Stewart, Lehman, Guyton, Addison. Am I on the bill? No. Barve.
I definitely, can I run that back?
Yes,
I
we'll
definitely
read it
missed a
back.
few, so,
Yeah, okay.
Terasa, Ruth, Allen, Meraki, Love, Healy, Boyce, Stewart, Lehman, Guyton, Foley, I believe
Addison.
Ziegler,
and Addison.
and then
Barve. Right. Not the heartless Republicans. One heartless Republican.
actually, no, it's Liberty's on the bill.
Oh, right, there's still a Birdie's on the bill also, yeah, okay. Yes, you are. That's because you're a nice person. Okay, House Bill 104.
That bill has no amendments. The recommendation is favorable. This bill is the fruit of work that was done a year ago. This passed the House 134-0 last year, but it didn't make it all the way through the process. There was considerable work done last year to get this in shape, and it is a rerun. So there's no amendments, but I want to explain the bill just a little bit because it really is a new thing. There's a situation where if you need to, a municipality has a charter amendment. The normal process has been for them to publish that in a newspaper 4 times. And what happened with Delegate Solomon brought this to us, it turns out that because of the economy, a lot of newspapers have disappeared. And so it turns out that in Montgomery County, they have almost no actual newspapers, and the ones that they have are like the Washington Post, which charges a very large amount. So they came up with an alternative. It was worked out with the newspaper industry with lots of amendments, and they no longer object, and we're clean on this. But what it does now is they have to buy the ad once instead of 4 times in a newspaper, and then in addition to that, deliver it in some other way, either by hand or in a town newsletter to every resident of the town, so that they are all aware of the charter amendment that's being proposed. With all of that, the motion is favorable, no amendments.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion or debate on the bill? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 118, more ground leases.
At some point, Mr. Chair, we're going to extinguish King Charles I.
Right.
I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you.
They chopped his head off for a reason, didn't they?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 118 was moved favorable with amendment from the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. As amended, Mr. Chair, the bill enhances notice and billing requirements as applicable when, number 1, a ground lease holder brings an action of possession for non-payment of ground rent, and number 2, a ground lease holder seeks payment of ground rent, and number 3, ground lease is transferred. A ground lease holder may not require a leasehold tenant to reimburse the holder for costs incurred in providing the bill notice, the notice of the bill. The bill also establishes additional prohibitions regarding unregistered ground leases and expresses a specified declaration and intent of the General Assembly. Listen to this now, Mr. Chair. Expresses a specified declaration and intent of the General Assembly about ground rent redemptions. Off with his head. The amendment, Mr. Chair, the amendment clarifies that the forms produced by ESTAT are are the form of a ground rent leaseholder must use for notice to provide a bill to a leasehold tenant under the provisions of the bill. I move the amendment, Mr. Chair. There's one amendment, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Second. So does anybody want to really talk about this more? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it.
Move the bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Any discussion of the bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those, present. Okay. House Bill 123, Delegate Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 123 came out favorable with amendments. This is an emergency bill, which means it goes into effect immediately upon the governor signing it. And what it does is it reestablishes an authorization for plug-in vehicles to drive on HOV lanes. They have to apply to MVA to get a permit, and MVA may charge a fee not to exceed $20 for that fee. There are two subcommittee amendments. One alters the termination date to be September 30, 2025 to conform with federal law. And the second one authorizes rather than requires certain consultation to design the permit. Move the amendments.
Second.
Oh, and there are seconds. Any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second? Second. This is a bill that we should have passed last year, but nobody noticed this, including the 4 members of the committee who drive electric cars. So, okay, on the bill, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 152. Delegate Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee recommendations are favorable with amended. As amended, the bill expands the purpose and scope of the Urban Agricultural Grant Program and the Urban Agricultural Grant Fund. The bill expands the scope of the program to apply to agricultural producers in an urban area rather than just Baltimore City. In other words, it expands the program throughout the state. The bill also expands the purpose and authorizes uses of the fund to provide grants to qualified applicants rather than just nonprofit organizations in the city. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 repeals a requirement that the department adopts certain regulations to implement the grant program and instead establishes an advisory committee to make recommendations on the implementation of the program and alters the amount appropriated under the bill to the fund. And amendment number 3 makes a conforming change to provisions under the Urban Agricultural Water and Power Infrastructure Grant Program Bill. Move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill passes what? Oh, an abstention under the rule. He runs a nonprofit that plants stuff. So right. Excused under the rule. Okay, House Bill 161. Delegates. Oh, yeah, sure. A pile-on amendment to House Bill 152. Who wants to be a co-sponsor? Okay, so we have Naraki, we have Allen, we have Ruth, Terraza, Otto, Siliberti, Jacobs, Love. Did I skip Otto? Okay. Holmes, Healy, Boyce, Vaughn, Stewart rather, Lehman, Guyton, Foley, Ziegler, Baker, Addison, Morgan, and Barvey. What the hell? and we're going to read it back, so. Actually, who didn't want to be on? That'll probably be easier. Oh, right, well, he can't be on. What? Davis. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Long, no long. No long, right. Okay. Let's go to House Bill 161. Delegate Stein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subcommittee recommendation is favorable with amendments. This bill terminates the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority's bond authority beginning June 1st, 2023. The bill also requires DLS to conduct a specified evaluation and the Maryland Environmental Service to conduct a specified review and analysis of the authority. The amendments require remove the Maryland Clean Energy Center from the bill, require any entity that may take up the authority's services to establish a system for stakeholder engagement, and ensures continuity of services during any merge of the authority with another entity. Move the amendments.
Second.
Any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill is before us as amended. Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. Sure, you want a pylon amendment? What? Wait, no, you were just teasing. Okay, never mind, okay. House Bill 182, Delegate Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 182 received a favorable with amendment from the subcommittee, Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. As amended, this bill authorizes a county or municipality to execute and record a restrictive covenant modification to an unlawful restrictive covenant if the subject property is within the boundaries of a county or municipality and specified notice requirements are satisfied. Now, the amendment, ladies and gentlemen, came out of the discussion that we had here in the full committee and in the subcommittee. The amendment, number one, is technical. The second amendment authorizes counties, as well as municipalities now, authorizes counties to execute and record a restrictive covenant modification or an unlawful restrictive covenant subject to the provisions of the bill. Move the amendments, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have
Move
it.
the bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Okay, so we're just adding the counties here, right?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? The bill passes unanimously among those present. House Bill 1. Okay, pylon. Who wants to be? All right, if you, well, yeah, it's, okay. So Naraki, Allen, Ruth, Terraza, Love, Holmes, Stein, Healy, Boyce, Stewart, Lehman, Foley, Ziegler, Addison, Morgan. Would you like to read that back?
Okay, so I have delegates Naraki, Allen, Ruth, Terrasa, Love, Holmes, Stein, Healy, Boyce, Stewart, Lehman, Foley, Ziegler, Addison, and Morgan. Did I miss anybody?
I think that's it. Okay, House Bill 262. I'm sorry, 188. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee's recommendation is favorable with amendments, or amendment, it's only one. As amended, the bill requires the governor to appoint a wildlife advisory commission, one member who is an academic researcher with expertise in wildlife biology, wildlife conservation, wildlife management, or ecology. It adds the bill also adds to an existing requirement that the commission include representation from the farming community by also requiring the commission to include representation from the hunting community, the wildlife preservation community, and the passive Wildlife Recreation Community. The only amendment is adding a member to the commission and provide for the staggered terms of commission members. Move the amendment.
Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. Bills
The bill
before
is
us is amended. Is there a second? Any discussion on the bill? Okay. Yes, Delegate Jacobs.
Taking out fisheries, and I didn't like the addition of the membership.
Well, those are good reasons to vote against the bill.
So there's not much left.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? You know what? Let's do a roll call just to show them how it's done.
Vice Chair Stein? Yes. Holmes? Aye. Love? Yes. Jacobs?
No.
Otto?
No.
Filiberti? Nope. Tarassa? Yes. Ruth? Yes. Allen? Maraki? No. Morgan? Addison? Baker? Ziegler? Foley? Guyton? Davis? Lehman? Stewart? Boyce? Yes. Seeley? Aye.
Chairman votes yes. 16-6. Okay. House Bill 386. Delegate Love.
262, sir?
262. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. 262.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 262 came out of subcommittee favorable. It authorizes a police department that takes an abandoned vehicle into custody to notify any secured party electronically if that form of notice is agreed to by the police department, the tower, and the secured party. Move the bill.
Okay, any discussion on the, there was a second. Any discussion on the bill? Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 386. Doug Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee recommendation is favorable. There are no amendments. HB 386 is an emergency bill, reestablishes the commercial blue and flathead catfish fin line, trot line license. Move the bill as recommended.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, no amendments, huh? Okay.
None.
Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. Okay. House Bill 389. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Chair, this, oh, wrong bill, sorry, hold 1 second. Nope, I have my things out of order, that's okay. Subcommittee recommendation is favorable with amendments. As amended, the bill establishes the state specialist for value-added agriculture as a position in the Maryland Department of Agriculture. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 alters the title of new position to be the state specialist for added value agriculture and clarifies the definition of value-added agriculture, including by adding language to clarify the various equine services that fall under the specialist's purview. Move the amendments.
Is there a second? Any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second? Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. House, a pile-on amendment. Who would like to pile on to this bill? Okay. Naraki, Ruth, Tarraza, Dr. Delegate Siliberti, Otto, Jacobs, Healy, Boyce. We won't put you on twice, don't worry. Stewart, Lehman, Guyton, Foley, Well, Ziegler, Baker, Addison. No, it's his bill. He's definitely on it. Okay. All righty. Do you want to read that back? Oh, sorry. Okay, hold on. Oh, Holmes. Okay. Well, it's a good thing we didn't make that mistake. You could have lost an election on it. Okay, House Bill 406. Boyce.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. HB 406, subcommittee's recommendation is favorable. There are no amendments. HB 406, of course, requires a person who uses a snare, trap, or other similar device to capture wildlife to ensure that the person's DNR identification number is stamped on the device or on a metal tab affixed to the device. Move the bill.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion on the bill? No amendments. Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes, any abstentions? None. Okay. The bill is unanimous among those present. House Bill 465. Yep, you're still up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee recommendation is favorable with amendments. As amended, the bill authorizes a person younger than age 16 to use a collapsible trap, net, ring, hand line, or dip net, while crabbing in the Chesapeake Bay or its tidal tributaries without a recreational crabbing license. The subcommittee amendment, essentially the amendment are the bill. The amendments are the bill.
Okay, is there a second for the amendment? Okay, on the amendment, yes, Delegate Silberti, on the amendment, which is the bill.
Unfortunately, there was nothing we could do about that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
The plowmen and the fishermen are on the bill. Okay, on the amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimous among those present. Okay. House Bill 516, Delegate Holmes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm on the next one, I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Agriculture. Oh, it's Boyce. There we go.
Yep. Thank
516,
you.
yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee recommendation is favorable. No amendments. This bill moves the date from February 1st to July 1st, by which the Maryland Department of Agriculture must submit a report to the General Assembly each year on data collected on the use in the state of medically important antimicrobial drugs in cattle, swine, and poultry. Move the bill.
Okay, any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Bill carries unanimously among those present. House Bill 567, Delegate Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 567 received a favorable report from the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. There are no amendments. The bill authorizes a condominium regime to establish on specified property owned by an affordable housing land trust. And if you recall, ladies and gentlemen, what the problem was that there had to have been established two condominium regimes, one for the land and then one for the building. This kind of does away with that. Move the bill, no amendments, Mr. Chair.
Second. Any discussion on this bill? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The bill carries unanimously among those present. Now, I would like to do a motion whereby we move unfavorable on House Bills 122, 139, 499, 577, 822, and 1025. Move unfavorable, withdrawn by sponsor, and nobody wants to separate out a bill for a separate vote. Okay, so by that motion, the motion is unfavorable, and there was a second. All those in favor of the unfavorable motion, bill withdrawn by sponsor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously among those present. We're done. Good work, people. Announcements. Any announcements? Delegate Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motor vehicles will be meeting on Zoom 5:45, Patrick? 5:17? 5:45.
5:45.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Any other announcements? Okay, just for your information, these bills will be on the House floor Tuesday, so you'll see them. Stick with the committee, and I doubt that'll be a problem in this case. So, any other announcements for the good of the order? Yes, Delegate Foley.
Delegate Healy, do we have a meeting? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have public hearings tomorrow. Boo-hoo. Yeah, I know. Damn people putting in bills. Anyway, okay, so we're adjourned. Good work, people. Yay, verily, yay.